Hello, my name is Kenya Chavez, and I will be presenting my chemical reaction of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration allows living organisms to use oxygen to break down the sugars known as glucose. The molecules are then stored in ATP, which are used to grow, replace, and divide cellular parts. The chemical equation for the chemical reaction of cellular respiration is glucose plus 6 moles of oxygen reacts to yield with 6 moles of carbon dioxide plus 6 moles of water. One may ask, why is this important? How does this apply to one's life? Well, cellular respiration is a process that allows one to convert the glucose in one's food into energy that is necessary for life. The chemicals that are the starting material are glucose, which is an important carbohydrate, and oxygen, which is a colorless, odorless gas. The chemicals that are produced are carbon dioxide, which is an important greenhouse gas, and water, which can exist in liquid, solid, and gaseous stage. What exactly is a balanced equation and why is it important? A balanced equation supports the idea that in a chemical reaction, the same amount of atoms for the chemicals in the reactant or the same amount of atoms for the chemicals in the products. It also means that in the chemical reaction, the mass is simply transferred from one form to the other, and it is not destroyed or created during the process. And this is referred to the law of conservation of mass. To determine if a chemical reaction is balanced or unbalanced, one must find out how many atoms of each element there are in both the reactants and their products, and at the end of the process, one will find out if the atoms are equal to each other. As one can see, the atoms of the elements of both sides are equal, which means that the equation is balanced. A limiting reactant determines how much product is going to be produced. An example would be Jane Doe made 3 pancakes, but only had 1 syrup packet. She would only be able to eat 1 pancake because she would need 2 other syrup packets to be able to eat the other 2 pancakes. So the limiting reactant is the syrup packet. A limiting reactant question using a balanced cellular respiration chemical equation would be how many moles of water will be produced from the reaction of 24.5 moles of glucose with 32.2 moles of oxygen. The first step would be to determine which reactant is the limiting reactant, so one must create a table like this and would include whichever reactant on the left. I chose to use glucose, so then oxygen will be on the right. The top middle is for the coefficient of oxygen, and based on the equation it is 12. The bottom middle is for the coefficient of glucose, and based on the equation it is 2. Then one would multiply the top row to 24.5 moles of glucose times 12 moles of oxygen, and then divide by that product 294 with 2 moles of glucose in order to get the moles of oxygen, which is 247, which causes it to be the limiting reactant. The second step would be to find out how many moles of water will be produced. One would put the limiting reactant on the left, so it would be 32.2 moles of oxygen. On the right would be moles of water. In the top middle is for the coefficient of water, so it would be 12 moles of water. The bottom middle is for the coefficient of oxygen, so it would be 1 mole of oxygen. So then one would multiply oxygen and water, and the product would be 386.4. And then one would divide 1 mole of oxygen, so there would be 386.4 moles of oxygen that will be produced. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time.